Welcome to the Girl Power Alliance podcast, where you're going to meet and hear from some inspiring women with incredible stories who are leading in business and in faith. We are on a mission to impact the world by empowering women to dream bigger through kingdom-minded mentoring and leadership. This is where women grow. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Girl Power Alliance podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see how beautiful this woman is, and she's got an adorable hat, and we're going to talk about that. If you're listening to this on a podcast, you can only hear and you cannot see, but you're probably going to want to head over to the YouTube channel to see this gorgeous creature. Let me tell you a little bit about Lindsey. She's a life and business coach and the host of Make Your Passion Pay You podcast. She's the creator of the Passion to Profit Business Academy and Boss Moves, where she helps women step into the role of confident CEO and online businesses doing what they love. She's a former police officer turned passive income coach and CEO. Lindsey Nadler is on a mission to show as many women as possible how to make their passion pay them and confidently chase their dreams. Over the past decade, Lindsey's earned over 7 figures via the direct sales industry and online marketing. Founded and led a nonprofit that helped sex survivors of sex trafficking, and created a 6-figure thriving coaching business from scratch. Her drive and passion to empower women to live life by design have shaped her signature real talk, faith forward, no BS perspective that allows her to inspire and equip women in search of more for their lives. And what's not on her bio, but she just told me because I complimented on her cute hat, is she's launching another business. Welcome to the podcast, Lindsey.
Oh man, thank you, Michelle. I'm so happy to be here. So excited. Thanks.
My gosh. Well, there's so many things
Where do
to
we
talk
start?
I know there's so many things to talk about. So we spoke on the phone a couple of weeks ago. I absolutely just fell in love with you and your story and all of the things that you've been able to accomplish. And of course, that is an incredible bio that I read. But can you just can you do a Cliff Notes version of your story? Because your story it's remarkable and it's super inspiring.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I got my start in law enforcement. I wanted to change the world, right? I was a former college athlete and was addicted to adrenaline and doing things for significance and doing important things. And I got my start in law enforcement because I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to change things. And then I met what is now my husband, and God really began to just kind of woo my heart. And my testimony is a whole other deal. But long story short, I quickly realized that much of the work that I was doing as a police officer, although it was great and I loved it, was very much reactive. It was not proactive to making a difference in the way that God was calling me to make a difference. Plus, a 12-hour night shift away from my family just was not working. And I'm an entrepreneur. Okay. I am an entrepreneur at heart. I was raised in an entrepreneur family. I had 3 side hustles while I was working a 12-hour night shift, out on patrol. And I, cut my teeth in big girl entrepreneurship with a direct sales company, was able to double, triple my income. And I was kind of living this, what I thought was going to be my dream, right? I'm in this health and fitness space. I thought I was going to be the next, fitness guru, like Chalene Johnson. I thought I was just going to be this fitness person, right? And then God really began speaking to my heart and calling me to honestly, leave it all, walk away from it all, walk away from what I thought was what I was meant to do, and found and start this nonprofit to help survivors of sex trafficking. And so I did it begrudgingly. I didn't want to do it. I mourned the loss of leaving what I thought was my calling, right? And through this nonprofit, we were able to get it up and rolling and employees paid and, help rescue women. And it was fantastic. I mean, it was it happened fast and God was 100% on all of it. But it was through that nonprofit that I was met with my insane workaholism.
Mm,
And I know that many women listening can probably identify with this. My insane workaholism and honestly, performance mentality. Okay. This mentality, like the more I do, the more holy I'll be, the more worthy I'll be, the more anointed I'll be, like all of these different things. It's just nothing could be further from the truth. And so the stress of what I was doing landed me in a mandated sabbatical from
mm,
my doctor, and I actually wind up having to merge that nonprofit with another one. And they're doing great and they're better than I could have ever made it. That I had to literally get into a place where I was doing nothing and totally undo this workaholism, performance mentality, start taking care of my body, start really leaning into my personal relationship, with God, not what I was hearing from other people. And it was from that time of rest and that time of what I call like the secret place, those quiet moments, that the mission and the passion for what I do now, coaching women to be entrepreneurs, to live a life of freedom and do what they love and be confident and own who God has created them to be. It's where that was really born. And so that's what I do now. And I love it. So that's the cliff notes. So you could ask me anything about it, but long story
how
short,
long
that's what
though?
I
How
do.
long have you been in this space now solely?
Yeah. So in this space has been for 3 years. Although I have been coaching women in
Of
some
course.
shape, form, or fashion for my whole adult life.
Yeah.
But in this area, 3 years.
Wow. Well, I can relate to so many things that you've gone through. I'm gonna backtrack to what you talked about direct selling.
Yeah.
I think that in the direct sales space, it is very easy to allow your identity there to be an idol.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, totally.
it People are put on such pedestals. It just by other people, by companies when they
Yeah.
achieve and do well in that space. And a lot of times people believe their own press. And really, God, he had a conversation with me about that as well because that's my background as well.
Yeah.
Is the direct selling space. You know, we've been very successful, still earning from direct selling, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact. And um, he told me that I had made my identity in direct sales an idol. And I
Totally.
was like, ooh, ouch.
Same, same. I was totally there too. It's almost like you're conditioned. And I think that it's true of probably large, corporate jobs or
Yes,
anything. But I think within the direct sales industry, you really see that people on stage, and everything is really about your next pin or your next
yes,
leadership position. And you almost feel like, well, if I'm not hitting the next level, well, then I'm
you're
not a leader.
worthless.
Yeah. Or like, who am I?
Yeah.
Totally get
So
that.
I could relate so much to that. He had a conversation with me and I wasn't sure, like, are you calling us out of that? It's what me and my husband have done together the whole time we've been together almost. And it's our sole source of income. So I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, what's going on there? So I could so relate to that.
Mhm.
And another thing that I think is really profound and should be talked about. I mean, I think most entrepreneurs are kind of workaholics. I think it goes with the territory. Like you eat, breathe, and sleep creating. It's just kind of it's in our DNA, but that can very easily take over,
Mm.
and you can take over. And as believers, as women that really want to fulfill our God given assignment, not just the assignment we make for ourselves. It is for me anyway. I'll just speak about myself. For me, it is a daily discipline to keep me down and keep him at the forefront. I think it gets easier because now it's a habit. But in the beginning, when I was learning this, it was a very kind of awkward and clunky way to kind of put like, okay, is this me or is this something that I'm moving forward because I want it, or is it something that God's calling me to? So I would love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say my take is just a touch different in my verbiage, but is probably the same thing in that I believe that we are so intimately connected to the Holy Spirit
Yeah,
and to God. And like there's this whole debate, like where do I stop and he starts, right? Like, but it's
yeah,
like if we can get to like we're so intimately connected, which really comes through that secret place, that
yes,
intimate time together, then I don't have to worry about that as much, and that I can't like, it's impossible for me to really get ahead of God, if that makes sense. Like really staying what I would call like in the vine. And I think that teaching women how to lean into that and know that there's nothing that can separate you, and it's you guys, like you're co-creating with God. And because I do think women sometimes we can really, or entrepreneurs, we can beat ourselves up, like, well, am I not doing this right? We make it another thing. And so I think for me, it's more about like tuning into, hey, Lindsey, when are you trying to force things? When are you trying to make things happen? Versus versus surrendering and trusting that the how is really not up to you. That's up to God. Like you're in it, you're in your assignment, you're doing what you've been called to do. You've done the quote unquote work. Now you've got to sit back and trust. You've got to surrender. You've got to understand that what's for you will come to you, and stop trying to be the controller of absolutely everything that's going on, because as entrepreneurs, what is the message so often that we're taught, like bootstrap it, make it happen, go get it, go do it. And there is an element to that. And I would say if someone that's listening is struggling with that right now, I would lean into, there is such a thing as working from a place of rest and trust and surrender. You're still working. We're not saying this is not that it's easy or it's not hard, but it feels different. The work doesn't feel like work. It's more of a get to versus a grinding and a have to and make it happen. It's truly that from rest, being connected with God mentality. So I would say that's probably my take on it. It's like it's like, yeah, for sure. Like you said, like the discipline, it's like for me, the red flag warning, like beep, 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 beep. Hey, you're trying to make this happen. Like stop refreshing your phone, stop checking for this, go outside. Let's have a walk. Let's leave our phone in the kitchen and just go outside and have some time. So yeah, totally get it.
It's a beautiful thing. And I can laugh about it now because I've progressed that place to to where I am today. And I very much understand that. And it's interesting because I'm old now. I'll be 48 in June. And I think about, you are who you are, right? Like you have these things that God designed you with, your vision, your creativity, your drive, all of these things. And so in my younger years, trying to use all these things to force things to happen. And now that I'm older, I really see, I love the phrase co-creating with God, because it took me a very long time to know what that meant, to understand it, and then to actually exist in it. And when you can get to that place, I think you have to go through trials to get there. First of all, I think you have to get to a place of, for me, I'm just going to speak for me. I had to be forced into surrender. Like
me too. Same.
Surrender did not happen easy. It happened from a place of just like broken, done, fine. There's nothing left. So for me, that, and then realizing that from that place, more happens. Like more happens there than whatever happened when I was like functioning, what I thought was functioning.
Totally. 100%. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I think about, I had to be forced to let go of the business. I had to be forced to learn how to rest. And, my body was actually like, was saying, hey, we're done here. Like the adrenaline ride you've been on for your whole adult life, we're toast. Like we're sick of it. Like it's time for just you and God to work some things out. And so, I would definitely like, don't get forced into it. Throw your hands up. Just throw your hands up before it gets worse.
I had adrenaline fatigue, adrenal
Same.
fatigue, and took me a couple years to heal it, and I'm like totally into health and doing all these things. I'm like, where's the missing piece?
We were doing too much. I can remember, like I look like this sounds, kind of whatever, but like I look super in shape, was like a phenom, was like going into CrossFit and lifting all this stuff and like just go, go, go. And I can remember being like, I feel awful. I cannot get through the day, and then I can't sleep. I had all these gut
Mm,
issues and like,
same.
how is this possible? I take more vitamins than are known to man. Like I eat pretty good, I work out, but what I was doing was like just too much. I was taxing my body, and me actually doing all of that was putting me into a fight or flight. It was
Yep.
stressing me out. And so, just like doing more low impact stuff was the kicker for me, for sure.
Slowing down, which is so hard.
Mhm.
You've
Yes.
you hear people say you got to slow down to speed up, but I think that this journey as an entrepreneurial woman that is lives her life from a position of God. I want to do. My prayer has always been, God, align the desires of my heart with the desires of yours. I just want it to always. I always want to be in that lane. I don't want to be in the
Mhm.
lane where I'm doing something because I think it's best. Align
Yeah.
the desires of my heart with the desires of yours. And so, coming from that place, there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of women who have these amazing skills, talents, gifts, passions, and
Mhm.
they have the ability to do all these things, and they really want to do it unto the Lord. And so
Mhm.
we fight this battle of kind of what the world tells us it's supposed to look like to be an entrepreneur, and yet what the Holy Spirit is impressing on us constantly of what it's like to be an entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
so it just for me took time to figure those two things. I mean, I'm still figuring, right?
Yeah.
You never stop learning, but I feel so different about
Mhm.
life, business, finances, achieving, striving today than I did. And I'm so excited to share. And I know that's what you're doing with women when you coach them. It's exciting to
Mhm.
be able to share that with them to shorten the learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like what I'm hearing right now too is like it's just like trust you're being taken care of. Like trust that like everything is for you. Like work like the when he says like I'm working all things together for your good, like you will not lack one good thing. Like that's a fact. Like
Yes.
that is a fact. And you really can't screw this up. Like he's such a God of love and kindness. And when let's say you do get out of alignment, let's say
Yes.
you do screw it up, guess what?
He
Like
fixes it.
so what? It's like you just get right back there. Like we have to start to live shame and performance free.
Mm,
And understand. I think for me, like that's the biggest key with business is the trust. Like I'm being taken care of. The client that I need is going to come at the right time. The exposure, the relationships, the collaboration, and trusting that he's bringing that to me. And if it is not happening, then there is divine, absolutely divine protection and intervention. And then I'll even share a story even from network marketing, that whole idolatry thing, that whole like, oh, I wanted to be this. I can remember being so like just frustrated and honestly jealous, and like that other people were kind of like rising more than me, and like, well, like I'm better at this. Like there's no reason why I shouldn't be getting that accolade or be doing that thing, or that my business shouldn't be growing. Like why? Like, and I was doing all the things right. When I look back now, I 100% know that it really was God. Like, hey, this is not going to be your ticket. Like
yeah.
this is just a temporary assignment. See, I believe we have a passion, a purpose, a calling, and an assignment, and that our assignments change,
Yes.
throughout our lives. And that particular assignment was not like the long haul game. And I'm so glad, because that company actually wound up totally changing their income structure, and people that had gone all in, meaning it was their sole source, for a really long time, they lost it overnight. And I can
Yeah, they
remember,
did.
being so upset even that like my husband didn't want to come on board. Like how many women have probably gone through that?
Yep.
But that was protection.
Yeah.
God knew what was coming down the path, and he knew like, no, no, this is right where you're supposed to be. And thank God, we had begun to diversify our income and build other income streams, and that I didn't, become the ultimate
Yeah.
leader in that company. That just wasn't for me at that time, and it was 100%, for my protection. So everything that's happening is for us.
It's a beautiful story. I'm sure people that are listening or watching can relate to things that you thought, man, why? But then, in hindsight, to be able to say, wow, God, you perfectly laid it out for us, and walking in that, I mean, our ability to be able to look back on our own lives and circumstances and see how God really paved the way for us, protecting us and or guiding us in or out of things is really should be like the pinnacle of our trust and faith in him. Of course we have the word of God. Of course we have our ability to, tap into the Holy Spirit, but just look at your own life and the time, the times that God did miraculous things like how he protected you and your husband and things that you felt like they were opposition or disappointing. I'm sure it was disappointing that your husband didn't get involved.
Yeah, totally. And I'm like, I'm so glad he did not.
Right?
Like,
How beautiful.
I'm so
What a
glad.
great.
I'm so thankful,
So if people are listening and they're falling in love with you, which I'm sure they are, so do you do group coaching? Do you do one-to-one? What are your programs that you offer for people?
Yeah, so I do have a higher level one-on-one. I also have a mastermind. And for the person who's just getting started, who's like, I've got all these ideas, I've got this passion, but how do I turn this into a business? I do have my course, the Passion to Profit Business Academy. And then, of course, if you are just really struggling with the confidence component, the mindset component around how do I like show up as a confident leader? How do I own being the CEO, and what does that look like within my God-given gifts, then my program Boss Moves is going to be the best for you. So those are the different ways that people can get started.
And where do they find you?
Come for sure, hang out with me on Instagram. It's at Lindsey Nadler, Lindsey with an E, not with an A. For sure, come hang out with me on Instagram, shoot me a message. And then the podcast, the Make Your Passion Pay You podcast, we have new episodes that release every week, and you're going to go to school on that podcast. That'll help you a ton.
That's all. Is it just you or do you have guests on there? What is that podcast?
I have typically like one guest on a month. And then it's solo training episodes with me every week.
I miss solo podcasting. I'm going to add solo podcasting back into the Girl Power Alliance podcast because that's what I did for 3 years. I miss it. Do I miss talking to myself? Yes, I actually miss talking to myself on a podcast.
Yes, I love it. And I found like that's the number one way that people I just love to come and binge, and they feel like they know you. And so yeah, it's super fun. Love it.
It is fun. It sounds insane when you say it out loud. It's super fun. And then will you share a little bit about your new venture with your adorable hats? Can you share about that?
Sure. So I am totally a hat girl. I have got quite a hat collection. If you come follow me on Instagram, you'll see my hats in just about every video that I do. And so people were again like constantly asking me, but where'd you get that hat? And oh, I love that. And oh, I want to be able to rock a hat and all this stuff. So this whole confidence piece. But one thing that I really talk a lot about is like put your CEO hat on. Like CEO hat on. This is a business girl. Like, let's start thinking like a powerful leader instead of someone who's just reactive and, airy fairy. And so that's something that a lot of women, they do struggle with for many different reasons. Like God created you to be a powerful leader, sis. Let's go. So, anyways, the idea for CEO Hat Club, hats for powerful women. This is kind of like your new power suit is the hat, right? Like rock the hat. Let's go. Put your CEO hat on. So that's going to be an e-commerce stream of income for the Make Your Passion Pay You brand. And it should be launching, I would say probably mid-March. We've got an Instagram page up. You can sign up for the wait list, but it's a curated collection of hats that are perfect for your next meeting, interview, selfie, photo shoot, and are going to make you just feel really confident and really powerful and remind you to put your CEO hat on and keep it on. So
I'm so in. I'm customer number one. Is this a subscription-based business or just straight e-commerce?
It's straight e-commerce hats. We will have some really cool like scarves, like bandanas to go with it, or you can put that in your hair or use it as a mask if you wear a mask. Also, like we'll have feathers that you can embellish your hats with. But what we really are looking to do is really help you figure out your style profile. So, are you the luxe leader? Are you the boho boss? Like, what's your vibe? Are you the social media queen, social media star? Are you the work from home warrior? What is your aesthetic? And we'll help you find a hat from there.
I'm obsessed. And so I was telling Lindsey before we started recording that when it's like I had two things. I don't really make resolutions, but I did to myself this year. I was like, okay, this year I'm going to wear hats. So I bought a single hat and tested it out. I even did a thing on Instagram, like, am I a hat person? I'm not sure. And then I wore a
Yes,
couple
you
different ways.
are. Everybody is a hat person.
I
Everybody can
loved
be a hat
it.
person.
And I
Yes.
love the idea of kind of like you're putting something on like a persona.
Mhm.
I'm big on, I've been everything. I've been a stay-at-home mom. I've been a single mom, been a working mom. And even when I stayed at home, I got up and got dressed and got ready every day. And I did it for me, whether I saw anybody or not. And kind
Totally.
of your image to you really will impact the way that you go out and impact the world. And so
Mhm.
I love the idea of the action of putting this hat on, and that you're calling them names, right? You're calling them the CEO hat. So you can put on this almost persona, even if you don't
Yes.
feel it. This
Yes.
can be the persona, and you see it a lot in Hollywood. Like they'll come up with a persona name, like who
Mhm.
they are on stage, for example. And
Mhm.
so I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. It's a powerful transformation, and it's like, even, now it's like my hat is like, that's when I feel like I'm in go mode. Like I'm getting it done. It's like the last, accessory that I'm going to put on before I'm out the door, that I'm starting my day. And also ladies, like, hey, you don't want to wash your hair. Like,
Exactly.
you don't want to have to like do something crazy with your hair. Throw that hat on, put a little, zhuzh, and zhuzh it up, and you're good to
Love
go.
it. I
So,
love it so very much. What's your favorite one?
oh my gosh, I would say my favorite one is actually from the Boho Boss collection, and it is this deep rust color. And like when I first saw it, I was like, oh wow, like, that's bold. But when I got it in person, this is just like side note for people that are in e-commerce businesses, like you really need to get the product in your hand. Like if you're ordering online from wholesale things, you really need to get the product in your hand. It's different, and to be able to talk about that, because it's this beautiful deep rust color that I really feel like is the new neutral. Like you can
Mm.
wear it in the fall, with all your fun fall things, or you can wear it with a black or white maxi dress in the summer. Like it really goes both ways. And that deep rust color is where it's at for me. You can see it on my Instagram page. It's the new neutral. That's like my favorite hat right now.
I don't think I'm following you, and I'm really upset. So as soon as we're done, I'm going to have to follow that, your personal page, and of course, CEO Hat Club. Is that what it is?
Yep, that's it.
Well, if you are listening, don't worry. We'll make sure all of this information is in the show notes. If you're watching, it'll be just below the video in the details there. And man, you're quite the powerhouse.
Thank you. Thanks. You
So
as well, Michelle. I'm so excited.
I am too. I'm excited to just be connected to learn from you. I'm a podcast junkie, so you'll be in my ears. I can't wait to learn from you, and appreciate you being part of, what we're doing here, and just for what you're doing in the world. I believe this is our time, and God told me at the end of 2019 that there was going to be a massive revival, and that the catalyst for the revival was going to be women, and it was going to be women in the marketplace. And so what you're
Absolutely.
doing is holy work, girl.
Yeah, man, I could not agree more. I feel like God has really called me to, my mission is really to help women understand how powerful they are,
Yes.
and that they have been put on this planet by God to make it better. And it takes money to do that. And it's
It
been
absolutely
proven,
does.
that when good women have the money, they invest back into their communities, they make the world better. Everything increases because God created women to be that way. It's like we make everything better. We make everything beautiful. We make everything more abundant. We literally give life and support it. So, in more ways than just physically. And so I could not agree with you more. 100% on point with that.
The quote that we have on our website is, when women rise, the world rises with them. And that's what we're trying to
Yes,
do.
absolutely.
That's what we're trying to do, girl. Well, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. So anything I can ever do or be a part of, the answer is already yes, because you're just dynamic and magnetic. So thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you so much.
Woo! If that's not a power-packed 30 minutes, I don't know what is. What a remarkable, amazing woman Lindsey is. I'm so happy to have had her on our podcast. Check her out and head over to the CEO Hat Club and get your CEO hat, because she's launched and kicking butt. I could not be more inspired by women and what they do. And I love how at the end there, we talked really about the mission of helping women to step into their God-given authority, because when women rise, the world rises with them. That is part of what we wholly believe, all the way down to the bottom of the soles of our feet here at Girl Power Alliance. We want to help you to step into all that God created you to be, to step into all that you have inside of you and all that you were born to create in this world. Because when you find that piece of you and you take action on it, you are literally giving life and power to other women that are around you, that are watching you. It's absolutely life-changing and so incredibly inspiring. And I love every day that we get to do what we're doing here inside Girl Power Alliance. If you have not already done so, go over to Facebook, join our private group. It's for any woman out there that loves Jesus, ambitious Christian women, you are welcome. If you have not already joined our membership to really continue to just grow and grow with the incredible resources we have in there, head over to girlpoweralliance.com and do that now. And we have so many things. We have Power Hour, which is our Christian women's networking event once a month. We're doing that virtual for now. We have Radiant Leadership Academy, which is literally like about to start, a 16-week biblical leadership certification by women for women, with the purpose of helping you to fully understand and identify who you are in Christ and to step boldly into your authority so that you can impact the world in the ways that God designed you to do that. It's amazing. It's fun. We love it. We have the most amazing women. We're attracting the most amazing women ever, and we are watching miracles. I'm telling you, we are watching miracles come to life in the Girl Power Alliance community. Oh, it's so good. Remember this about Girl Power Alliance. This is where women grow.